Okay, so it looks like we are finally live, and we're going to start. In the last stream, we coded an operation to allow us to create files in GitHub. We also created a file resource to interact with the GitHub, and we created a file model to interact with files. In this stream, we are going to use the file model to create an operation that allows us to edit files. This will serve for lots of tiers, because most of the tiers we are planning to do have to do with editing files. So we are going to start. The first thing we need to do is to create an operation. So I am going to create a edit file operation, and let's think about what we need to do. We want to have a callback where we pass the file contents so we can edit them. So we will need to first get the file contents and then pass them to the callable, and then finally we need to push the changes back to GitHub, creating a commit. So let's see what we need. We need a callback. We need a way to identify the file. So let's turn do not disturb here. So for that we are going to need a path, and we are also gonna have optionally a branch, and we will finally have commit details. So we can edit the name of the commit and who is the committer. So let's first create setters for all this. We are going to start with a set callback that accepts a closure, and we are going to save it to the options array. That is where we save all of our settings. We are also going to need a set path to specify where do we want the what file do we want to edit, and again we are going to save this one to the options array. We will also need a set branch that we already have, and a set commit. Then this should be an array then accepts a commit. We are going to need to validate this one, so we will leave it there, and this time the option is going to be in the details, and we also have a setter for setting all the options to make it quicker to test. So let's first see what do we need to pass in the set commit. For this we are going to go to the API client that we are using to see the documentation and what we need to pass. Well, here it is. So let's go to the documentation, find the contents help, and let's see. If we want to update a file, we need a committer array So we need a commit message and a committer. So for that I think we are going to finally have two, an author and a commit like it was before. So the commit is the commit message, that is a string, and the author, it's an array author that has a name and an email. So we can reuse a lot of code from the last operation, which is very good. So now we have also we need to have an author here. So we will need first to get information about a file. I think that includes the file contents. I am thinking if we want to get this one from the actually I think we are going to use the file we used, the model we created the other day. So this is going to be file find, and we need to pass here the repository, and let's see what else do we need. File resource, find the repository, and the path. And the path is gonna be, we are going to need to validate this first, so I'm going to move this up there, and we need this is going to be options path. So let's see, now that we have a file, I don't know if the file contains a contents. I think it does, but let's double check to make sure. Search is not working, so this is in repositories contents. It is get contents. So we get the content encoded. So I'm thinking that maybe we should have here a, it's called content, and actually here we are treating the content like an array, but it isn't. What I'm guessing we could do is to say this attributes content is base 64 the code, the value, because it comes encoded. So that way we can simply here pass the file and we already have everything we need. So I am going to say get the closure we have and call it with a file. Actually, I think we are going to use the PHP function called call user funct array that accepts the array that is options callable, and also an array of parameters that it's only gonna be this one. We are going to give the assignation like file equals that, so we can access the it later, because we are going to need the SHA, that is this parameter, later to update the file. So we get the file contents and we pass them to the cal, and now we are going to get the result. I'm guessing we should return here a file, and then yeah, callback. Sorry. And then we need to push changes back, and we are going to do that. We are going to try to make an API that is as easy as calling result save. And let's see if we manage to get that working. Actually here this is going to return the result, so this should work. So we have an API we like, that it does the three things we need in three things we need in one line of code. So now let's see. I'm going to update first this. This is a callback and callback. Perfect. So let's see. We need to make the model. We need to add a save. So to do that, we are going to go to the file resource, and here there is an update method. So we are going to call. We are first going to try to make the base code, and then we are going to add tests. We are not going to TDD because I tried it the other stream and it was a little boring. So okay, this is contents, and then this needs the update function that it's right there, and we need here. Actually, the identifier, it's going to be the repo and the path, I'm guessing. No, the identifier, let's see. The identifier is the path. So we are going to need to get the repo from data. So as we are going to use it 2 times, I'm gonna extract it. So repo, it's or instead of that, we could do it dynamically, passing it before, or oops. Actually I don't know if the repo is stored here, but maybe we should store the repo this file belongs to make everything easier. So at the moment in the package we're using Laravel Whisper, it's in alpha version, so we don't have relationships. We are going to have to save the repo object. So to do that, we are going to I'm going to have to well, I guess I could simply do I think there is a set attribute function. Let's check. Nope. So set attribute, it exists, and it is public. So I'm going to use this to keep the interface in one line because I think it's cleaner. And let's see, we need to set the attribute repo to think it is yes repo. So that's it. And now in the file resource class we should be able to say to get from the repository from the data. So let's see, now we have a repo, so we need the repo owner and the repo name. Let's see what else do we need to pass here. The path, that it's identifier, the new contents that will be in data content. Oops. We will also need the commit message that it's going to be in data commit, the old file sha that should be saved in data sha, and finally branch and committer. So data branch and data committer. And what I'm thinking is we don't have except for the identifier we don't have repeated variables, so what I'm going to do to make it clearer is to use a function that I think I used extract. What this function does is it gets an array and it creates a variable for for example, if there is a repo key in this data array, it creates a repo variable. So now we can remove all the calls to data and directly use the variables. Oh, and by the way, if you're going to use this in your own projects, I would recommend to make sure none of this data comes from the user, of course, because you can have some problems with that, or make sure you escape it. So we are going to return the data that no, actually this function doesn't return anything, so that should do it. Now let's see the next thing we need to do. We need to validate. So we are going to have the same defaults. We are going to default the branch to master, and we're going to default the author to our snappy author, and we are going to require a callback, path, commit, and callback path. That should do it. So this gets us options, and we may need to make sure that everything here is saved. So let's check the response GitHub sends us when we get the contents. So we have the SHA, we have the path. Let's see what else are we using. The identifier, it's the path actually. We have the contents. I don't think we have the commit message. The SHA is there, and branch and committer don't look like they are. So I am going to do the same thing I did before, because I don't think set attribute accepts an array, though I'm gonna check. Set attribute accepts just a key and a value. So we are going to need to, and I'm thinking this is starting to look a little ugly, So I'm going to extract this to its own line. So that would be this, and here we're gonna get file only. So first we validate it, then we get the file and we add what we need, that it's we need a repository, we need the commit, we need the branch, and we will need the author, I think. So let's see, here we are getting the file, we are setting the repo, commit, branch, and author, and this looks a lot cleaner if we do it this way. Perfect. So let's see, I think we have everything we need now. Then we pass the file. If we are using only one parameter, I don't know if we can use call userfunct. Yeah. So we can use the and pass the file here, and we don't need to wrap it in an array like that. And what I thinking that we could do, no, it's fine like this. So now it's time to test it. Let's go to the let's duplicate the test we did before in the last stream, that is the create file test, and we're going to make an edit file test. Update the class name, and let's see, we are going to first edit the setters. So we are going to need a test for set callback, test setting new callback, so this uses the edit file, and we are gonna set an empty callback, and I don't think we can assert that two callbacks match, so let's see if we can assert we can't. I think what I am going to do is to return test here and then assert equals test and calling this here the callback. So this should, if the callback it's here, we are getting the callback it is a protective property, so we need to use the reflection class. Then we run it, and we should assert that the output equals test. So let's try it. So it looks like we had a duplicate import. It is passing. So now let's check. We have a test for setting contents. That doesn't pass because we are not having a content setter, but we can reuse it for the path setter. Test setting new path, test using the setPath method, actually sets the path. So same here, setPath readme.md and assert. By the way, I'm thinking in the next stream I'm going to try to make a little framework to avoid having all these like create helpers for these tests that would make things easier. So that will probably be the idea for next stream. That it's interesting because it's a little less snaptier and more general and interesting to more people. So let's test if this is passing, and it is. We need for the commit that should pass directly, and we need one from the branch and one for the author. And I don't think we have one for the options. No, we haven't, but it's not needed because we are only using it in test context. So let's test the validation. Right now I think it's gonna fail because of the order. Here we need a callback, commit and path, and now it's passing. So last test it edits the file. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think we made a mistake here. We need to base 64 encode the contents because I was thinking about the test. That's it. That should do. Oh, we have a set. No, I thought we had a test. So if we set options here, we are gonna need a callable that it's gonna be a function that gets the file and sets the file contents. This is going to equal test and we are going to have a path that we are going to edit the readme, and I think we also need the commit message, so that will be test commit. We get a repo. We are going to call the update method with owner, name, path is readme, content should be test. Let's see the parameters here, the order. We need the author and the repo name that are already here. We need the path that it's readme, content, commit message is the next thing, that it's test commit. We need the SHA of the file that I am going to set it here to 1234. We are going to need the branch that is master and the committed that is snappy. So if we run this, we should, let's not assert anything at the moment and make sure this passes. So if we run it, we get an error because we are here in the again, this is called callback. Sorry for that. And here SHA, it's not, we can set it because but I'm guessing that this is fine because we need to mock here actually. We are going to call these two twice because we need a call to fetch the details and another to, so we are going to have one to, I don't know how's the method called, show, and so it's gonna have the name, the path and the reference. So and here we can return the path, that it's what we need, and we are also going to return the SHA so we can hardcode it here. 1 2 3 4. This is a string, and then we are going to call update. So let's try again and failing, of course. Method API repo should be called 2 times, but it was called 1. Why? Let's see. Here we are getting the file. So file find calls or client find. So that would be file resource. Let's make a dump here to be sure. We are calling this. Yes. So here we are calling repo contents. Let's dd what this returns. This returns what it should. So now these two get set as attributes, and then we should so let's see. When we go to file and we call the save method, save with options, that we don't pass any options, so this exists. Oh right, we are creating one because I think we need to force the exists, because if here let's see what we get there. Yes, that's the problem. We need to make sure that when we retrieve things from using find, we set exist to true. So let's see how we can do this. When we get the find method, we are returning make and then sync original. So let's see what this does. Make just fills the thing, and sync original, I think it saves that. So I am going to go to the Whisper source that is in github.com. As I said, this package is on beta, so I wouldn't recommend you using it into your own apps, but if you want to give it a try and give us some feedback, go ahead. So this is the Whisper class. I'm going to edit it directly in the GitHub interface. So we are going to go to find, not there. There we go, find. And now we need to find a method that alters the exist thing. So let's see if there is something that updates the exists here in perform insert. So looks like we are going to have to do this manually, and the way we are going to do this is here after sync original. I'm going to tap this, and if you don't know, tap is a function that performs operations on an object. Oh, GitHub, come on. I think I am going to make the edits here and then just copy it. So we are on the find function, and I can use here tap. That will get the whatever this returns, pass it to a callable, to a closure, and then when that's finished, just return the original. So we need that. We need a function that accepts the model, and we will just set this exist to true. So first let's check if this fixes our problem, and if it does, I will commit it. So the file exists, and set attribute, where am I calling set attribute? Oh, it looks like this isn't returning what it should. So let's this is now returning null for some reason. So let's see. We are tapping here. Let's do our tap and syntax error here. Sorry. I'm going to quickly comment null. So do we have to return something here? Oh, maybe it's that. No, it isn't. Right. Nope. That's method. So let's see, the tab function accepts an arbitrary value. So we would need to save this. Okay. So it looks like this should be working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another dd to the dd file we are getting passed here. So the problem is that apparently now we are not getting anything here. So yet another dd. This is how development works. And test this. Okay, so this works. This is a file. So now let's see. This should get in pass. Oh, because it is called model. So now model exists true, and let's see if this works now. Yes, it does. One dd out, and now we are getting our edit file. There it is. So now file exists true. So I'm going to copy this and paste it in Whisper. There we go. So make sure we set so that's it. We are committing live. I'm gonna make a quick 0.1.1 and delete release so we only have the tag. This is so I can pull it later via Composer. It takes a little time to update, but should be fine when the stream ends. So we are not using our local version. So now if we run the tests again, we have another problem. That is the variable sha is undefined. So in the file resource, it looks like we are not getting sha in the data. Let's see. We are getting a repository, commit, branch, author, and content. Why are we not getting the ASHA? Let's go to the DD chain again. Oh, and obviously if any of you knows what's going on, please tell me. So let's see. Here it has an SHA. It does. So the file we are passing here should have an SHA. But this one does not have one. Actually, I think I need to set this one manually for some reason. Like, we are getting it here. Oh, this is weird. So let's see, do I have to like duplicate it? Let's see if this was it. This is not going to work obviously because I'm not. Yes. So let's see if as a quick workaround we can so nope, not SHA here. Let's see. Here it is setting it, but if we set file SHA, and this is strange because I think this had the unsha before. I mean, I think I saw it. So SHA. And there it is. But now it seems like it is losing it in some way. So let's see what we can do. Actually, we can try to DD here, because here's it's where like the next step in the chain. But to do that we need to remove that. So the file we are getting here has an SHA, and the file we return has an SHA. Way weird. Let's see. The next step in the chain is here we are getting this. It is returning null. Actually, I don't think that's correct. Let's duplicate this here. Let's check the documentation for cal user funct, and this is Spanish. I'm gonna change to English. Nope. English. There it is. This should return the return value of the callback, and in the test we are not returning the file. So let's see. Now this should return the file with an SHA. So now if we leave it like that, we are getting this DD here. So now if I leave it like that, we have another error that, oh, again. It's not here. So let's see. We said that it was here, right? Yes, it is. So now let's check what it happens when we call save. if this exists, it does. Let's dd an OK here to make sure we are in the correct path, and let's dd this, and it is saved. So this should perform the update. So if we go here, we are going to get the error. Nope, we don't. But here we don't get the SHA. So what happens? It's happening inside the perform update. So what we are going to do, we are going to dd this, and let's try to move it until it doesn't appear. So if we move it down here, it is returning before this. Okay, so it looks like we are getting dirty. Oh, right, we are only passing there the things that... So I think I'm going to make another change. That is, I'm going to pass attributes as the third. So we are getting here things that changed it, and we are getting things that didn't change. So I'm going to commit that change again. So we are getting fixing things. So this is here. We are gonna pass as a third parameter. Oops. The attributes. So let's see. And I'm going to make another release for this. So that would be this one. And we are going to keep using our version until... So let's see, now in file resource we are able to have a third parameter called attributes that we are going to make. We are going to need to change the... So I am going to add that as a to-do. And now I am going to make the ugly hack of getting, let's see, this equal. So let's explain this. Actually I think we need... Oh. Okay, so let's explain what is happening here. This is a special PHP 7.2 syntax that allows us to get this variable is an array. So we are going to assign the parameters to the order kids. So we are interested in the third parameter of the array, and we want to save it to the attributes array. We have these two empty commas here because here it's where we will have the var1 and var2 like the other variables, but we are not interested in saving them because we are already getting them there. So we are only doing that. And now we can do like attributes. There we go. And hi William. So let's see what's the issue now. Committer doesn't exist. So where's committer? Oh, committer is author. And finally our test is passing. Now we finally need to make some assertions. Actually, I don't think we need to assert anything because we are already asserting. We are sending the thing to Git. But what I think would be nice to do is, let's see, if you remember, yesterday we added in the repository key asset files attribute. So what we want to do here is once in our operation, once it has updated, syntax highlighting is doing strange things here. So once we have the file updated, to do that we are going to tap this because the save function returns a boolean. So I'm going to tap this, a function that has the file and just saves the file. So this should still make the test pass, and here in the tab we are going to say repo file. So this will overwrite the file if we don't have it, and save it if we don't have it. So that means we are getting the file updated. So now we can test. We can go to the final test where we assert everything's working and say this assert count 1 repo files, and that's passing. And to make sure we are doing this right, I'm going to test we don't have to make sure like we don't change the bootstrapping by accident and I get this thing to have one file by default, and an error. Oh, because there is no files. So that should also work for us. And everything is passing, which means this is the end of the stream. Again, if you are interested in getting updates, you can go to snaptier.co and sign up for the mailing list here. We also have a Discord server for insider info, and we have a Twitter account to tweet about these things. And we are also working on a podcast that we will be releasing hopefully today, or if not tomorrow, about our decision making. So check that out when it's out. And thanks for everyone who watched the stream. Bye.